Hi, Kara. Welcome to the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, yeah, we're excited to have you and go through kind of your unique process of starting your IHP business and how you got there. So I can't wait for you to share your story with our listeners. What I would love to do to start is, could you tell us a little bit about kind of what you're currently doing with your IHP certification?
Yeah. So I have my own business that I started called Your Guide to Wellness. And this is where I can help people reach their health goals that they haven't been able to reach, such as losing weight, working on their type 2 diabetes, working on gut health issues like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's. Those are the main things that I help people. I meet with them online and coach them on lifestyle changes that they can make to start feeling better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what my business is about. And we meet twice a month, which I just spend my time really digging deep into people's, into their lives, into their stories to figure out really what happened. Everybody's got a unique story, and it's not a, like one size fits all approach to healing. So, like every 2 weeks we meet and dig into what's going on in life, create a plan, and I'm their cheerleader and accountability partner, and they have access to me when they need me for questions and for support.
Yeah, that's great. And the accountability piece is so important, right? So many people out there know they should be eating better. They know they should be exercising. They know, okay, maybe I should not be drinking this much alcohol, or I should cut back on the caffeine, right? So many people know that there's things that they could do to better their health, but the accountability piece is kind of what's missing for so many people. And I feel like that's really where we shine as practitioners, is we're able to kind of meet them where they're at. It sounds like meeting twice a month. I love that approach, because I think a whole month, can kind of go by, and that's like a long time for somebody to kind of get lost in their own habits. And twice a month is kind of, a good amount of accountability as far as, consistency is concerned. I used to be a personal trainer, and I loved meeting with clients once a week. Some of them I saw twice a week. And those were people that I really got to change their habits, their well-being, because it was constant communication, right? And twice a month, virtually is a great way to do that. So yeah, do you find that that's a good model that's been working well for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, I have some clients who utilize me more through the app that I have. Mm-hmm. There's a chat feature where they can ask me questions, and some people utilize me all week long. Otherwise, there's some clients who just meet with me every 2 weeks, and we are able to dig into the prior 2 weeks, see how things have went, and make modifications. So I feel like it fits really well for, the way that I'm running my program right now.
Yeah, that's great. So tell us, is this something that you've always been, doing as far as being a wellness practitioner? How did you stumble upon IHP, and what were you doing before this?
Right. So I'm actually a registered nurse. So in the Western medicine arena, I have 2 children of my own, and 5 years ago, when my son was 8 years old, he was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. He was very, very ill, declining very quickly. And of course, I was concerned as his mother, bringing him to the doctor, going to GI specialists. My poor little 8-year-old boy was having colonoscopies and having to do colon preps at 8 years old. And all of the things that they were suggesting, he wasn't getting better. He was really only getting worse, and he was taking loads of pharmaceuticals. And when I started asking about diet and things that we could change, they didn't really have answers for me. They told me that there was nothing that I could do to change the outcome of this situation, that it was lifelong, it was incurable, and that he would have this for life. And the only options were medications. So I tried those things, but out of pure desperation, after they weren't working, I started looking elsewhere for answers. And I had overheard a coworker in the ICU talking about a food sensitivity test that he had done. So I thought, maybe I was really caught up on foods. I knew that there had something had to have changed in my son's body because he wasn't born sick. So I had a food sensitivity test done on him, and it showed that he was really severely reacting to sugar and dairy. And it was all sugars. I mean, 7 forms of sugar. So molasses, honey, maple syrup, so on and so forth. And there were also other things that popped up on this test, like food dyes he was reacting to, and herbicides and pesticides. And that wasn't on my radar at that point. And that really started to open up my mind to the things that we're exposed to in our daily lives. So we started changing the things in his diet, and he started getting better. And at one point, I just took his care into my own hands, because what allopathic medicine was offering wasn't helping. So that was 5 years ago. He's been healthy, thriving, growing off of pharmaceuticals for 3 years now. And so I was working as a nurse, giving people all of these medications and teaching them about the procedures and treatments they were going to have. And I really started questioning if they could be doing other things to be helping themselves, just as for my son. So I got my nurse coaching certification, which was just an add-on to my degree, to my license. But then I had a coworker tell me about Dr. Cabral and his IHP program. So I started looking into it, and I was like, this is absolutely what I need to do. I need to learn more about like removing toxins and protocols to heal the gut. And so I signed up right away. I mean, I wasn't prepared for it. I had no idea that that's what I wanted to do until I saw it. And I was like, yes, this is absolutely it. And as I was working on my IHP1, I started helping family and friends, coworkers. I found out that I just really love to educate, and I love to learn. So I finished my IHP1, and then I quit nursing during COVID at the end of September 2021, it was. I had just gotten my breast implants out, so I was doing some healing of my own, growing up of my own as well. And after I had taken off work to heal from that, I just didn't go back for a year. And that was when I started my business. And it really took off. And so now this is my main passion and joy, is just to help people figure out how to feel better and heal their bodies. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. And what a beautiful way to kind of get there, as, to be able to share the story of, your son with people who may be, in the same situation, or they feel like they've tried so many things, that should have, quote, helped and haven't yet. And to kind of restore hope in a sense, because you essentially took him out of a lifelong diagnosis of something, and he's healthy and thriving now. And what a beautiful thing, one, to share, as far as hope's concerned, but it also must have, significantly built your confidence. I mean, that's to be able to, even as a mother, right? Because it can be so emotional to try to help your own child, because you have like these emotional ties to it because it's your child, but to kind of get to the point where there was no answers, and to know that, quite frankly, you healed them yourself is, I mean, you can help anybody in that case, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It really built my confidence. And I mean, I had no idea at that point that I was really going to be able to make him better, but I was willing to try anything. And when he started to get better, I had so much hope for all of these people that I've been taking care of in the hospital who've just been struggling and not really having any answers. So yeah, it built a lot of confidence in me and a lot of hope for people. And I mean, it's definitely about lifestyle change though, right? It's not just an easy quick fix. We can't just offer a pill or a supplement. I have to encourage clients when they reach out to me, are you ready to make lifestyle changes? Because that's how you're going to be able to feel well and reach your goals. So that's one thing I really make clear to people is it's going to require determination and real just change on someone's part, because their lifestyle is what got them to that point. But it's not a terrible thing, right? I mean, we just have to we have to grow and learn from our life.
Yes. Yeah. And I always say, if nothing changes, right? If you want a different outcome, you must be willing to do something that's going to get you a different result than you've been getting. And I love that you asked them, are you, ready to change some lifestyle things? Because I think a lot of people might think that we just use supplements instead of medication, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, I'll just use natural supplements to fix this. But I'm of the belief that it's still, even though we use supplements, it's still not a pill for every ill. There is a reason why you need thyroid support or you need adrenal support. And while we're supporting that stuff in the short term and giving your body the boost that it needs, let's find a way to rebalance that. So you're not then taking these supplements forever, because if someone's on a boatload of supplements, you can bet there's still deficiencies or there's still toxicities or ways that they're depleting themselves in their lifestyle, right? And the goal is really to be living a life where this stuff kind of doesn't come up as an issue. So yeah. I think that's such a great question to ask. Do you get a lot of people that are surprised by that question, or people that are kind of like, gee, I don't know if I'm ready to, or do you find that most people that come to you are ready?
I have, I feel like it's 50-50. I think a lot of people think that it's just a quick fix and there's something magical I can offer them. Mm-hmm. But I feel like most people who do reach out to me are desperate for change. They've tried everything. They've been through the system and they're not getting the results that they are hoping for. So, I mean, and it's just a requirement that I have, that you have to agree and be willing to do the things that I recommend and create a plan with me and stick with them, because if you're not willing to, it's not going to work, because what people have been doing hasn't been working, right? So that's why people are hiring me, to help give them a new plan and hold them accountable, even though it's tough.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I would love to kind of know, as far as what happened with your son, in that kind of process, what moment was it where you were like, wow, this is definitely going to kind of change our life, as far as, maybe how I'm seeing, healthcare, sick care, holistic care, all of that. Was it, when he got a little bit better? Was it when he was, fully better? What point did you kind of go, wow, this is, I need to tell everybody, and whoever's willing to listen?
So initially, I was doing so many things. I was adding CBD, I was adding turmeric, I was doing so many things. But we were doing the diet changes, and we had taken out sugar, dairy, but also processed foods. I was eating the standard American diet. Boatloads of the cereal and store-bought milk, SpaghettiOs and mac and cheese, and all of the things that taste so delicious but are so bad for us. So I started removing those things, and he started getting better. But there was a point where his other caretakers in his life didn't stick with the plan and went back to the more processed foods, more dairy, more sugar. And he had been well for about 6 months, I'd say. He wasn't having any GI symptoms. And about 6 months into him being reintroduced to those foods, he started to go downhill again. And I just said, all right, it's back to what we were doing before, because what we were doing before was working for him. So it took about 6 months from that point. So it was like these processes of 6 months. Took it all away. 6 months later, he was good to go. And since then, he's been great. And that was the point that I knew I really was starting to figure it out. And I really started to see how important it is, how we treat our bodies. When I was growing up, I really had no idea how much it impacts our health, the decisions that we make, the things that we do, the foods that we're taking in, the thoughts that we're having, the company that we keep. I just had this big realization, like, wow, we have way more control over our health than we've been led to believe. And so that was the point that I realized there's something else that I need to be doing. I have true passion for learning about healing our body and the things that we can do, and I need to share it.
Mm. Yeah. And I think for so many people, like the realization that we're in full control, there's two types of people, right? One that goes, wow, I'm empowered and I can change the situation. And then I think that there's some people that, okay, so now it is their responsibility, right? And they're kind of like, I just want to kind of keep doing the easy thing, right? The quick fixes and the things that will make things get better fast, right? Because it can kind of be, it's a lot of work when you realize I'm in full control, because then there's things that you can change. There's things that you need to, let go of. There's things that you need to add back in. And so it becomes a responsibility in a sense when you realize that you're in full control. But people that really, take that power back have beautiful transformations. And we see it all the time. It's family systems, right? Like your son helped you get well in a sense, right? Because I'm sure you're not eating the same way anymore. And, whether it trickled over to other family members and whatnot, it really is this kind of cumulative effect on family systems too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So when you started your practice and you kind of were, doing that a little bit more full time, were you still doing nursing? We have a lot of IHPs who they'll still, work in the hospital or, do some sort of nursing on the side while they're still doing their IHP. Are you still nursing or?
So I actually did take on a local travel contract in November. I had been off for over a year. I had been off for like 14 months. I really felt like I missed it. But when I got there, I realized that I just missed caring for people. But it's really difficult for me to be a part of the medical system, to be giving people their medications in the morning. And it's a cocktail of 20 pills. That's difficult for me, but I still am able to use my time there, my contract for good. I'm able to educate people who are willing and want to learn more. There's some people, as you mentioned, who it's not of interest to them to be making lifestyle changes. And so, I'm still there to care for these people, but then there's other people who are desperate and they want to feel better. And I'm able to just really spend my time. I have so much time with these people to just educate them on all of the things that I know. So that's a really powerful piece of nursing for me. That keeps me going during the day because there's a lot of things that I don't agree with that are heavy on my heart. So I don't see myself staying in nursing forever. I'll always be a nurse, right? I'll always have my knowledge and my education. But until the healthcare system changes, I'm not sure I'll be a part of it much longer.
Yeah. And I think as IHPs, we can get kind of so immersed into the world of like what wellness means that we forget there's so many people that have no idea this world even exists. Because like when I mention something as like simple as gut health, to a family member who knows not, they're like, what do you mean gut health? And like that term to me and you and I is like, that's just like our lingo, right? But like people truly have no clue that this stuff exists. And I went through a period where I was like, somebody will ask if they want to know about this stuff. They're going to ask me. I'm not going to offer the information. But I found that so many people didn't even know that there was a whole other entity of how you could take care of yourself, right? And so when you're sitting with these people, they must, think to themselves like, oh, wow, that's interesting, right? Whereas we think like this is our language. And how could you not know that the antibiotics are causing, your gas, your bloating and all of this, right? But just like little sound bites for these people must be so helpful. And they must feel like they're getting way more than just like the traveling nurse who shows up with a few pills.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, this time around, with all of the knowledge that I have and all of my experiences, it's really rewarding to be able to give people some more hope to go home and look into things. I mean, I just can give them some resources and also offer them up. Like, I see that you're taking vitamin D, but you really need vitamin K for that to absorb. Just little tidbits like that, because most of the patients there aren't supplementing with vitamin D, but some of them do have it on their medication records. So I can just throw that little tidbit out there and then offer them a resource of where to get it. And then like when people are on antibiotics and they're on long-term antibiotics, and I know they're going to be going home with them, it's really, it's just really reassuring to my soul and to my heart to know that I can give them some information about how to work on their gut when they get home. So they don't have these lifelong hardships of wiping everything out and then 20 years down the road wondering what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because it's, like I've already said, and I think we can make this point forever. It's just, the system has kind of failed them in the sense of, now what, right? Just take your antibiotics and finish your antibiotics. And then there's like nothing as far as, okay, now what, and that's kind of where we come into play. So those patients are lucky to have you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm curious what, as a mom, I have an 8-year-old, which is kind of the age that your son was when he got sick. And I have a 5-year-old and a newborn. But when your son now, like what does he think of kind of what happened? Does he think like it's amazing that he doesn't have stomach issues anymore? Does he get bummed out that he can't eat, a lot of maybe the things that his friends are eating without issues? Does he think like you're pretty amazing? I mean, a 13-year-old boy, I think it could go one way or the other. How is he doing?
My son's pretty quiet and he keeps to himself, but I had asked him a question the other day that a mentor had brought to my attention. And I asked him, what's the role of me being your mom to you? What do you see as me? And he said, you keep me from getting sick. Like he actually said, you keep me alive. That's what he said. And I was like,
oh, there's a big difference.
Yeah. You keep me alive and you let me have fun. Those were the two things that he said. But I think he really appreciates it. And because he can remember when he was so sick, when he was so miserable, spending his entire day in the bathroom. I mean, with bloody stools and severe abdominal pain. Us having to hold him down for lab draws, and I saved him from that. And I think that he'll forever be grateful and he'll always remember it. Even though it was difficult, he knows that those things were making him ill. And now, he can read a nutrition label better than most people I know. So it's amazing how he is his own advocate for his health now too, to really look at a label and be like, no, I'm not going to eat that because it's going to make me sick. I'm not going to feel good after I eat that. So it's been amazing watching his growth and transformation.
Yeah. And, what skills you've given him for life, right? And who knows who he'll share that with as he gets older, whether it be friends or partners or, colleagues, coworkers, right? And I love that first you said, keep me from getting sick, but he said, you keep me alive, right? Because conventional care is sick care. It's keeping people from really just dying essentially, right? Or being in the hospital. It's just whatever will keep you out of the hospital is what we'll do. But to help him live, right, and truly live with no pain and without the things that were probably causing him daily, sadness, discomfort, frustration, that's living, right? And that's what we try to give to our clients is the feeling of freedom to live with great health, because like there's truly nothing, if we don't have our health and we're not living with that vitality, then like what are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm thankful every day, even though we went through a really challenging time. I mean, we came out way ahead with everything that he experienced. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today and know all of the things and be able to make the best choices to feel good and to sleep well and to be happy.
Yes. Yeah. It's such a beautiful story. And how about his siblings? Do they kind of follow suit?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have the same story, right? But they were a part of it. And we've all transitioned well into knowing, I mean, we're not strict and there's not any bad food around, right? I mean, we're not perfect all of the time, but we know that if we mistreat our body for too long, I mean, our body is going to react. So everybody's been fair game for it. I mean, it doesn't mean that there aren't complaints, but I mean, we all get along fine, and it's nice to feel good.
Yes. Yeah. My 8-year-old now will say like, I think I need a reset. That's like his, that's what he tells me, like, because same thing. Like if he has, too much gluten or too much dairy, too many days in a row, if there's a birthday party and then something and it just accumulates, he's fine here and there. And we're not perfect either. Nobody is. And then he'll come to me and he'll say like, my belly is bothering me. Or like, he even knows kind of like what his bowel movements should be. And he'll say like, I need a reset. And again, teaching these kids young it's not about, food fear, and it's not about control. And it's simply just about like being in tune with their bodies. When you eat this happens. I let my kids eat just about anything once. And I tell them to pay attention to how it makes their body feel. My daughter now literally she knows that, dyes make her feel, she says, Mom, they make my head feel like it's crazy. That's what she says, because like it just kind of neurologically affects her. Whereas my son, he like, energetically, he's just like bouncing off the walls, but her, like, it kind of makes her feel like she's crazy. And so teaching them to just be in tune to their body is so important at this age, because it pays off. I tell my husband, like, it's just food now, but when they get older, it's alcohol, it's other things. You're just teaching them to be responsible for what they're putting in their body and how it makes them feel and how it does or doesn't impact their day. It's such a valuable lesson.
Yeah. The food dye thing that you say, that's interesting. My husband's daughter from a previous marriage, she was eating some Swedish fish the other day as her dad was picking her up from her mom's house. And she had an absolute meltdown. She was screaming. She was really throwing a wild tantrum for being 8 years old. And it was really bizarre and out of the blue. And then they realized, whoa, she just ate like a bunch of those Swedish fish. I mean, there's that red dye 40 in there. And I mean, that's linked with so many issues with hyperactivity and behavioral issues in kids. So I think it was really interesting for her to be able to see the adults connect the dots for her, because she didn't know what was going on and why she was reacting the way she was.
Of course. Yeah. And now because she had adults who connected the dots, she can, make a informed decision the next time, or maybe she won't, because my daughter will still have
Right.
stuff. And,
That's
but
tough.
then, yeah, but then like, at least I'm able to, I'll say to my husband, like, well, you took her to a birthday party and you let her have this. And so like, we're not going to get upset with her for the tantrum that she's having. Cause quite frankly, she's a little she's not in control, in my opinion. Like they can't at that point really control it. And then we talk about it after, once it's kind of over and she's feeling a little bit better. And it's just all a process. The adults are learning, the kids are learning, and everybody's just navigating how best to take care of themselves. But the important part is that it's open for discussion and, there's communication and education around it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all a learning experience on how to feel as best as possible. I mean, it's no fun feeling icky or feeling sluggish, tired, cranky.
Yep. Yeah. And adults, right? Yeah. I say the same, like I tell them, if I eat too much of this, I gluten, I wake up and I feel like, I can't think as well, or, the words don't come to me as fast. And so I share my experience with them too. It's important. If people are listening and they kind of want to find more about you, are you on social media? Do you have a website? Where are kind of all of the places that you show up?
Yeah, so I am on Facebook. I have a business page, but I don't do a lot on it. I'm more active on my personal page, and that's Kara Stute. That's where you can find me. And then to maybe connect with me and my business, I have my business website, and that's ygtwellness.com. And there you can book with me a free consultation. We can chat about your goals, how I can support you. And I mean, I just love to hear people's stories and tell people what I think and if we might be a good fit to work with each other.
That's great. Yeah. And we'll link all that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Integrative Health Coach Success Podcast. This is so fun hearing your story and kind of all your wisdom behind it. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Kara.
Yep.